Alright guys, so in today's video, I'm going to be showing you exactly how to push code to GitHub from Virtual Studio, alright? So if you want to be able to push code to GitHub from Virtual Studio, make sure you watch this video step by step because that's exactly what I'm going to be showing you in this video, okay? So pay close attention to this video. So the first thing you want to do in order to successfully put in push code to GitHub from Virtual Studio is to actually come over to the GitHub right here. Alright, so if you don't know how to come over to the GitHub right here, what you're just simply going to do is that you're going to open a new tab on your browser, and then come here and type in GitHub right here. Right, once you type in GitHub, you just click on it, and then it's actually going to open GitHub website. This is the website right here. Click on it, and then you'll be inside of the GitHub website. Alright, it is super simple. So the next thing you're going to do is to actually come here and sign in if you have an account. If you don't, just sign up. It's a very easy and simple process to sign up. So I'm just going to sign in to inside, so we can go inside my account and then continue with the other processes. All right, so this is actually the first step, and it's a very important step. So let me just go inside of my account right now. All right guys, so now that we're inside of my account, right, I've written down 8 simple steps, right, we are going to walk through to be able to successfully push code to GitHub, right, from Virtual Studio, right, from Visual Studio. I've written down 8 simple steps. All right, so let's go through them step by step, and I'll just be walking you through how to do them practically. So the first thing we want to do, the first step, is to create a folder for your projects, right? Create a folder. So you, on your desktop, you create a folder, right? So this is what I'm going to name the folder, right? Just for this example, you can name it anything you want, right? The reason we are actually doing this and actually creating a folder is because we are going to be needing this folder. We are going to assume that this is actually the code. All right, this is actually the code that we want to push to GitHub from Visual Studio. Okay, so we want to create the folder and then the file that we are going to push, right? So that's basically why I'm doing this. If I come down here to my desktop and then I just refresh it right here, super simple. Come to where it says new and then click on folder right here, and then I'll just paste in the my website project. This is just the name. All right, so the next step, I believe, is to actually, inside of that folder, we actually create a file index, right? We create a file called index, right? So that's what I'm going to do. So basically, you all should already have your own. If you're going to push code to GitHub from Visual Studio, you should already have what you're working with. So I just come over to my Visual Studio right here. It is super simple. All right, so this is actually my Visual Studio right here. Alright, so this is actually my Visual Studio right here. Alright, so if you're new, it should look a little bit different, right? But because I've been using it for a while, it's actually looking a little bit different. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and then come to where it says new Windows, because this is actually what we need. We actually need a new Windows. Right, so there are 2 things I'm going to do right here. Alright guys, so now that we've opened it, yours should look something like this. Alright, so what you're going to do first, you're going to do something right here. You're going to come down to where it says these 3 dot icons are connected. It says here clone git repository. It is very important you do this. This is actually the step that we're going to follow to make it easier. So I'll just click on it. Alright, so now we'll be asked to actually put in a GitHub repository link, right, a URL. So let me show you exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to come back here to my GitHub right here, and then I'm going to come here to where it says repositories, right? Look for where it says repositories and then click on new. And we want to create a repository. It's very important because that's where the code will push to inside of GitHub. We want to create the place where we are going to push the code to inside of GitHub. Very important. And I also have it here as one of the steps. All right, it is very important. Alright, so basically this is what we are going to do, right? We just came here and then clicked on repository, right? Super simple. So this is what we are going to be naming the repository, right? We're going to name it this. Well, actually, I'll just name it this. Yeah, let me just name it this. I'll just come here and name it right here. So basically that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to come here and name it this, but I think I already have this folder. Okay, my website project is available, so this is what we are going to name it. All right, so the repository, come here and put in a description. This is how to create a repository. You can put in anything as description. I just don't want to waste too much time. And then make sure you leave this add readme turned off for now. Very important you leave it turned off, right? Once you're done, just come here and then click on where it says create repository. It is super simple. All right, then it's actually going to create the repository for us. So the name of this our repository is called my website projects, right? Keep that in mind because we are going to be using it later on. All right, so now what we're going to do is that I'm going to come over to my tab right here and then copy this right here. I'm going to come here and copy this right here. It is very important, right? Remember we're being asked right here to actually bring out the put in a repository name. All right, so if you want to get your repository name, this is where you get it. This is actually the repository name slash the location, right? So basically that's actually it. So what's going to happen right here is we've copied it, and then once we copy it right here, we just come back here and then we paste it right here. Come here, paste it, right? And then it's very important that once you paste it, the next thing, as you can see, is actually coming up right here, right? Actually, GitHub Visual Studio can actually detect the file, the repository inside of GitHub, right? This is it right here, and that's basically because my GitHub as well, my GitHub account is actually connected to Visual Studio. So if yours is not connected, the moment you want to do this, they are going to ask you to connect it. All right, it's actually a very easy and simple process. You honestly cannot miss it. A very simple process to connect. So once we do that, right here, it's actually going to load up, and yeah, so basically they're asking us where we are going to keep the file, right? The location, right? So I'm just going to leave it here as at user, right? So this is where it's going to be. So I'll just come here and then click on select as repository destination. Super simple. So it's actually going to create it for me right here. This is actually the step. Very easy and simple process. So it's loading right here. All right, so would you like to open the clone repository? Open or open a new window? I'll click on open. I think it should open right here. I don't have a problem. All right, so it should take some time. All right, so I'm just going to click on this. Yes, I trust the authors and all of that. So basically this is how it should look like. It's actually opened right here. As you can see, we are the my website project administrator, right? So basically this is actually how it functions. So there are two things we are going to do right now. One is that we are going to create a file, right? We are going to create a file, or before that, I'll just come here to file and then come here and then open a file, a different file right here. Open a file. So we are going to go over to that our initial file we created in our desktop. So if I come here right here, let's the file. Yeah, so I believe this is it, my website project, right? This is the one we created. So I'll just come here right here and then open it right here. All right, so this is actually it, as you can see. So I'm going to come here and then paste in a code, right? Some code, and I'm going to assume that this is actually the code that we're going to be pasting inside of. This is the code we are going to be pushing to GitHub, right, with Visual Studio. So this is the code. I'm just going to paste it, right? So you should have whatever you want to post. You should already have yours that you want to push in, right? I'm just adding code to make it look. All right, guys. So what you're going to do, you're going to come to these three dots right here that are connected. It's called source control, right? So what you're just simply going to do is to click on it, right? So as you click on it right here, it's actually going to open repositories. Now if you come here and then you see something that looks like this, right, it's very simple. All you have to do is to come here and then make sure that this repositories is actually clicked, right? It's actually ticking good like these other ones. It's very important. So click on repositories right here. Super simple. All right, so once you've done that, as you can see, so I'll just come here and then come to where it says this right side and click on commit, right? So I'll just come here and put in commit right here. It's very interesting. So what you're going to do is that this is our repository, right? Remember, this is our repository that we created inside of GitHub. Very important. You come to where it says good, a good sign, and click on it, commit. All right, so what we're going to do right now, if I go over to our guide right here, it says that we should stage and commit your code. In the source code tab, you'll see your file under changes. Very important. Then you click the plus icon beside each file. Okay, So what we are going to do right now is that we're just going to come here, we're going to see changes according to him. All right guys, so what you're going to do right now, right, so if I come back here based on our instructions right here, we are actually going to come here and then open the terminal, right, and type in this github init github init right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come to source control right here, or right here, I think terminals, and then click on new terminals right here, and then I'm going to put in the I'm going to put in the git init right here. Super simple. All right guys, so as you can see, we actually put in the git init right here, and then what's going to happen next is they said reinitialize the existing github in this. All right, so which is what we want. All right, let me paste it again just to be clear, and then I'll put an enter. All right, so basically I think that's it. We reinitialize existing github repository inside of this. All right, so what's the next step? The next step, which you just come over here and then we click on enter, blah blah blah. We've created a local git repository. So the next step is in the source code tab, you'll see your file under changes. You see your file under changes. Click the plus icon inside beside each file. Okay, so let's see if we're gonna see. It said inside of changes, right? Code source or source code. Inside of changes, they said we'll see our file, right? So we'll see our file before we actually check for our file, because our file is not here because we've actually not created it. So what we are going to do before we come over to the source code right here, what you're going to do before we come over to the source code right here, I think what we're going to do right here is we're actually going to create the file, right? We've actually not created a file inside of GitHub. Remember, we want to push code to GitHub, right, from Visual Studio here. So what is going to happen is this. I'm going to come here and then name this file. I'm going to create a file and name it exactly as the file we initially created in our desktop, right? Remember that file we created in our desktop, right? What's going to happen is this. Let me come back here, and then I'm going to rename this right here. Now make sure you pay close attention. Remember when we created a file, a folder, and then a file inside of our desktop. All right, so what we're going to do right now is that I'm just going to come here and then come here. I'm just going to come here and then copy this right here. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to create a file and name it this, right, exactly index.html, right, exactly the name of that file we created inside of our desktop, right? So I just create it right here. Boom. So what I'm going to do right now that we have the two files, the one from our desktop and the one we just created from our my website project repository, what you're going to do right now is that we're just going to come over to the desktop one and just press on your keyboard Ctrl A. You're going to copy all the codes inside of this one, right? Right click and then copy it. All the codes you copy, you come back here to the index.html from your my website project. Now remember what we are doing. What we are doing is that we are just transferring the codes inside of the file to the file of the my website project repository. Okay, that's the one that is inside of the repository, the my website project, right? That file inside, that's the one we are copying it to. Okay, very simple. So right here, right, so all we just did is that we just copied it right here to this other file that is connected to this my website repository that we created in GitHub. Okay, so this is what we do. Now after this, I just come here and then save it right here. It is super simple. I'll just come here and then save right here, right? I'll come back here and save as well. Save. Okay, what was left to save? Save. Okay, I don't know what's left to save. I'm supposed to have saved everything. Still showing me one. But what are you going to do next? Right now, once you've done this, the next thing you're going to do, you will now be able to go to your source code, right? Remember what we're supposed to do right here. Let me come down here. Remember, we're actually supposed to stage and commit your code, right? In the source code tab, you'll see your file under changes. All right, so you come there, click the plus icon beside each file. So that's what we're going to do, and then or the plus at the top of add all. So let me just come here and then come here. So if you come to source code right here, so what you're going to do when you come to source code, right, you come here to changes and you see the file. This is this exact file from the my website project repository. Okay, remember we've transferred the one from the desktop to the repository. We copied and pasted, so I'll just exit this one. We don't need this one again. We can actually save it if we want, but then we don't need it. So this one is the one that is inside of our my website project repository. Okay, so what's going to happen is that you just come down here to the index.html and then click on this plus sign right here. It will stage changes. Just click on the plus sign right here. It is very, very important. Like, this is where the code is, the actual code is. So what we're going to do next after we've done this, right, the next thing we are going to do right here, let's go over to our instructions. Once we've done that, we actually, in the text box at the top, type a commit message. For example, first commit. Now you don't have to put in first commit, you just have to type in a commit message. That's it. All right, so you can put something else, anything is going to work, but I'm just going to put in commit, first commit for this video. So I'm just going to come here and then put in first commit. Right, so this is where I'm going to put the commit right here, first commit, paste it, and then click on where it says commit, or you can actually just click this good right here. It's still the same thing. Just click on commit right here. So it's loading. Actually, it will tell us when it has actually done the committing. So yeah, I think so we're actually done now. We've actually done it. All right, so let's go over to the next step, right, which is the 5th step. We've actually created the my website project. This step is actually supposed to be in step 2, all right, but then I actually put in step 3, but we've done it. So the next step is to link your local folder to that GitHub repository. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we're going to go back to our VS Code terminal and run this code right here. Guys, look at this code very clearly. It git remote add origin, then https columns / github.com / your username / my website project.git, then space, you have your git branch -m, the m is in capital letter, right, capital, then you have this main, right. So basically that's just the code, right. It's actually very, you can pause the code and look at it, you can pause the video and look at it, but make sure you watch the video till the end. So what you're going to do now, we've copied it. The next thing we're going to do is that this terminal right here, this is the terminal. If you don't know how we created the terminal, remember we came here and then typed in the terminal right here, clicked on new terminal, right. So I'll just come here. Since my terminal is already open, I'll just paste this code right here and put in enter. Let's see what's going to happen. All right, so they said the remote origin already exists. All right, so if yours does not already exist, it's actually going to create it for you. Super simple. But because it already exists, we are now going to do the last stage, which is to push upload, right, which is to upload your file. You push your code to GitHub. Okay, so now we're actually pushing the code to GitHub with this code right here. It's git and push -u origin main, right, each of them space in between. All right, so basically that's it. I copy it right here and then go back to my VS Code and then paste it inside right here. This is the actual code that will push it. So if I click on enter inside, and then it's actually going to begin the process. It is super simple. All right, it's going to begin the process anytime soon. Let's watch and see. All right, guys, so it's actually done. As you can see, this is actually what it did. It says emulating enumerating objects, right, 3 done. It says counting objects 100%, 3 out of 3 done. Delta compression using up to 4 threads done. So basically it actually worked and we've done exactly what we are supposed to do. It is super simple. So the next thing we want to do, based on which is the last step, right, we've done the step 7. So the step 8 right here is to actually, let's see if we completed it, right. Okay, so the if it's the first time, a browser window may open asking you to sign into GitHub, right. Normally this is actually going to happen. They are normally supposed to ask you to sign in if it's your first time, right. Normally a browser will just open by itself asking you to sign up to GitHub, right. So it's just a way of trying to link your VS Code to GitHub. Okay, so it's supposed to happen. Wait until the upload completes. Done. your code is now on GitHub. So you visit your repository page and refresh it, you'll see your file inside. Right, so let's go over to our GitHub repository page and then see if we're going to see it inside. So I'll just refresh it right here. So let's see if it's actually pushed the code to GitHub. Boom, as you can see right here, this is the HTML, right? This is the HTML index.html that we actually put inside of GitHub. So if you open it right here, see the code right here, this is it, guys. So it actually worked, as you can see. So this is basically how to push code to GitHub from your Visual Studio. Alright, from your Visual Studio. So basically this is it. Do want to give this video a like if you got any value, and also subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. And with that being said, guys, I will see you in the next video.